everyone, and welcome to our summer drop of the Android Show, your quarterly show for all the latest news in the Android developer world. Earlier this month, Google launched a number of new devices at the Made by Google event here at Google's campus in California. We were there to recap for you everything you need to know and how to get building. And we'll be covering all that and more in today's show. I'm Huyen Thuet Dao, Android developer and co-host of the Android Faithful podcast. And I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Googler and Android developer, John Zoller.
Hey, I'm John, and I'm on the Android Developer Relations team, where I help make some of the stuff that's made by Google.
And so many things are made by Google. We're going to talk wearables.
Made by Google.
Foldables.
Made by Google.
AI-ables.
Made by Google.
Yes, John, lots of things are made by Google, and we're going to dive into them coming up in a bit. John, what are you doing?
Oh, well, I figure I can just save us a bit of time in our hosting duties if I use Gemini to summarize the entire show for us.
But, John, the show hasn't happened yet. It's happening now. Gemini can't predict the future.
Can't it? I mean, with all the cool updates that came out in this month's event. Okay, I guess you're right. Plus, hosting the show is kind of fun. I get to share a few of the things we've been working on with Wear OS, like the Pixel Watch 3 and Wear OS 5. I'm so excited.
And I'm super excited about Pixel 9 Pro Fold. I'm kind of a sucker for foldables. Plus, as an Android developer myself, I'm excited to hear the featured developer stories and see how my fellow devs are using the latest in Jetpack Compose.
Across the show, we'll unpack everything you need to know to get started building for these new devices. And if you're watching live, you can ask us questions in the comments or on X using #TheAndroidShow. We've got Android experts standing by to answer your questions. But first, let's kick it off with a little behind-the-scenes look at the new on-device AI capabilities of Gemini Nano.
You know, so many things are made by Google. What about that big G?
Made by Google.
All right, that makes sense.
We're reimagining the entire OS layer, putting Gemini right at the core of Android, the world's most popular OS. You can see how we're innovating with AI at every layer of the tech stack, from the infrastructure and the foundation models to the OS and devices and the apps and services you use every day. Gemini Nano is the most efficient model for powering on-device experiences.
When Google announced that Gemini Nano was expanding to include multimodality at this year's Made by Google event, I wanted to learn a little bit more about its new capabilities so that when it opens up for developers, I'll be ready to build some cool experiences myself. I got to catch up with Taj Dara, a PM on the Android platform team, outside the Made by Google event in Mountain View to recap some of the news about the latest model for on-device AI.
Today we announced Gemini Nano with multimodality. What does that mean? So with Gemini Nano, you can now pass beyond just text as the input. So if I'm a developer, text is just one modality. I can now pass image or I can pass audio.
I was curious to learn how Gemini Nano with multimodality differed from the first iteration of Gemini Nano. So I asked Taj about what breakthroughs we're seeing with the new model.
Gemini Nano with multimodality is nearly twice as large as the previous iteration. What that means for developers is the quality out of the box doesn't necessarily require fine-tuning, which means more ease of use and supporting more creative use cases like the one we're going to talk about today. To make this all happen, we're going to need to use the AI Core APIs. The AI Core APIs abstract away a few things. For example, if I'm a developer and I worry about scaling across multiple devices, this is one thing that the AI Core API will handle for me. Another thing it'll worry about is orchestration. There's a lot of inferences coming in on this device, a lot of AI usage. Who's going to worry about the resource allocation? Again, this is where the AI Core API comes in and manages that on behalf of the developer. So the AI Core API handles a number of things beyond just the inference. For example, we make sure that the inputs and the outputs of the model comply with important safety policies.
Thanks to this powerful on-device infrastructure, nearly every experience across the phone is powered by AI.
If you're like me, you're always coming across cool stuff online that would make great gifts. But then when it comes time to buy the gift, I can't remember the ideas or where I saw them. Like, I just got this text from my fiance, Christine. She's really excited about Kiki Palmer's new book. So I'll just click the link. And instead of leaving this tab open till the end of time, why don't I screenshot it? Pixel Screenshots analyzes the content of the image and makes it searchable. And it's all running privately on device, thanks to Gemini Nano and Tensor G4.
There are a lot of cool ways that developers can take advantage of on-device AI to make apps even more useful. This reminded me of how the Pixel Recorder team used Gemini Nano, and Taj told me a bit more about how they leverage this new model.
Pixel Recorder is a feature on Pixel devices that allows you to record, transcribe, save, and share recordings of conversations. So a common problem the Pixel Recorder team was facing was, say you had a really long conversation or transcription, something beyond 2 or 3 minutes, it'd be really hard to A, identify the number of speakers in that conversation, and B, summarize the highlights of that conversation. So the Recorder developers turned to Gemini Nano to help them summarize really long recordings and transcriptions. So say the user is looking for important pieces of information found within that conversation, that's where Gemini Nano would come in. It's very exciting how cool this feature is. We haven't seen many other features use the model this way, where they take a really large transcription or a really large conversation, and what they do with it is improve the user's productivity, right? I found that part very exciting.
Google is at the forefront of on-device AI, and it's amazing to see what it can do for not only our users, but also for us as developers. But this is just the beginning. I can't wait to see what else developers can build with Google's on-device AI. To learn more, follow the link below.
Meta, take one.
Instagram is a platform that allows users to share their photos and videos that helps them to connect with their friends and families. Android is adopting the latest media technology very fast on the platform, and this allows me to deliver the best media quality to our users.
Because Android is open source, we can create optimized solutions for better performance. Instagram early adoption of Ultra HDR transformed the user experience in only 3 months.
Ultra HDR is a new API that is introduced in Android 14. Ultra HDR is a technology that brings more vivid color and brightness to the picture, which is very different from the previous SDR or standard dynamic range technology. This is revolutionary in photography. We've been overwhelmed with positive feedback from professional photographers, OEMs, and video editing companies to integrate the feature together with Instagram Map. We started building for Ultra HDR right after Android 14 release and finished the feature in December 2023.
Photos and videos are the most important way of human interaction. Being an early adopter of Ultra HDR became our next step to provide a richer user experience. All Android devices can share and receive Ultra HDR images, even that they don't support Ultra HDR. Users can edit and apply filters without losing the HDRness of the original photo. We optimize the memory usage to allow to edit up to 10 HDR images at the same time.
We're happy to implement Ultra HDR in beta stage. It brings enhanced photo quality and a more fun user experience.
I recommend to all developers to be resourceful and don't be afraid to ask for any help.
As a trailblazer, there was only a few resources available online, but I would highly recommend looking into the code samples provided by Google Developer Relations team on HDR photo capturing and rendering. We got great support from Android Media team while building for Ultra HDR feature, so huge thanks to them.
We get that? Good job, man.
Rebecca, what are you doing? I'm finishing up the gradient cake I made, applying my episode about composed gradients to the real world. See, we have 2 different colors that progressively mix over time. And I've also tried to set a different color stop that you can see.
Right. Can we finish the cake a bit later and go back to work now, please?
Sure.
If you haven't caught up with the Android Developers channel lately, you are clearly missing out on a bunch of Compose tips for creating delightful UI. This new series is going to get you from Compose basics to a pro UI baker in no time.
So far, we've covered many different Compose topics, with episodes on how to set up edge-to-edge and insets, working with nested scrolling to create dynamic UI, pager tricks to tie into the gestures, to painting with different gradient brushes and complex graphic shaders,
with loads more episodes on the way. But we'd love to hear from you. What are your favorite Compose tips for making your UI delightful?
Share your tips with us on social media using the hashtag #ComposeTips for a chance to be featured. And be sure to catch up with all the YouTube episodes that you may have already missed.
Come to think of it, I might have missed your episode on brushes and shaders.
Sim, I watch all of your episodes.
Let's put the finishing touches back on the cake, should we?
Fine.
Happy composing!
Now in Android is your ongoing guide to what's new and notable in the world of Android development. And we've got highlights from our latest edition, including Android 15 Beta 4, Google Play's new collection feature, and more. The fourth beta of Android 15 means the release is going to be here soon. So don't delay testing and integrating new features into your apps. Android 15 has predictive back animations and H2H drawing on by default, low light boost for improved photography, and variable font for CJK languages, insights into your app startups, screen recording detection, and more. Samsung's Galaxy Unpacked event unveiled the latest foldables, wearables, and we shared how to get your apps ready for the latest Android devices, including building adaptive apps that work optimally across different screens and preparing your Wear OS app for Wear OS 5. Android device streaming is adding support for more devices from manufacturers such as Samsung, Xiaomi, and Oppo, so you can develop and test your apps using a variety of physical devices in Google data centers, right from within your Android studio. Google Play's new Collections feature organizes app content into categories and allows users to access them from a Play Store widget. You use the Engage SDK to push personalized content to collections with minimum effort. Top apps like Amazon Prime Video and Spotify have already integrated with the Engage SDK. We introduced new security guidance with the Android Application Security Knowledge Base that is triggered from link checks, which aims to establish guidelines for writing secure Android software. It's a repository of common code issues with remediation examples and explanation for implementing specific code patterns. In the Android Developers Backstage podcast, we covered micro-optimizations and writing custom tools, such as Kotlin Explorer, that can help detect code inefficiencies. We discussed the cost of using companion objects, making hash maps more performant, and many more tips to optimize your app. We have 3 new Compose tips videos covering a deep dive into nested scrolling in Compose, how to easily add the pager composable to your apps, and using the new look-ahead layout system to create layouts that animate fluidly. And that's just part of what we've covered in Now in Android for this week. Check out the full episode of the latest Android X releases, inspirational stories from Viaplay, how we are moving our Android X lifecycle libraries to Kotlin multi-platform, and more.
Thanks, Katerina, for those Now in Android updates. John, what are you working on now?
Oh, that segment on Gemini really got me thinking. I bet Gemini could write me a nice little haiku for what we saw at the Made by Google event.
But John, we have to get back to hosting the show.
I don't know, Lynn. I mean, it's a nice little haiku. Are you sure you don't want to hear it?
Fine.
Yes. Okay, here goes. On wrist, watch gleams. Pixel unfolds. Secrets unfold. Google's magic shines.
Actually, that was pretty good.
I don't like to brag. I just do the best I can.
Cool. Maybe we should get back to the show?
Okay, yeah.
That's your line.
Okay. In our next segments, we'll take you behind the scenes with the teams who built the Pixel Watch 3 and the Pixel 9 Pro Fold. And we'll explore even more of the content from the Made by Google event earlier this month.
If you're watching live, there's still time to ask questions in the comments or on X using #TheAndroidShow. We've got folks standing by to answer your questions.
And coming up in a bit, we'll also hear from 2 developers, AllTrails, who saw amazing retention using Wear OS, and SAP on how they're adapting and taking advantage of the latest developments in large screen devices.
Let's see how that unfolds.
Oh, I see what you did there. All right, Follow me as I take you behind the scenes with the new Pixel Watch 3 and Wear OS 5. Take a look. Earlier this month at Made by Google, Pixel unveiled their new smartwatch powered by Wear OS 5, and I was able to join the excitement live to see all the announcements. I work with developers around the world as a Wear OS developer relations engineer. So one topic that was especially top of mind for me was what the new device specs, specifically the 2 size options, would mean for developers. I started by talking to Ryan from the Pixel team to hear about the brand new hardware coming to Wear OS.
Today, I'm really excited to say that we're launching our Pixel Watch 3 here at Made by Google. It's our latest smartwatch engineered by Google. It brings the best that we have to offer to the space, including improvements on health, fitness, and productivity. It also has a larger display as well as keeping our 24 hours of battery life. Pixel Watch 3 is launching with Wear OS 5 and is coming in 2 sizes. The 41mm is the same size as our Pixel Watch 1 and Pixel Watch 2, however is 10% larger screen area. The 45mm Pixel Watch 3 has 40% larger screen real estate than a Pixel Watch 2. This is something that developers should definitely take into consideration when developing their apps.
With those considerations in mind, I wondered what developers should be doing to provide the best possible experience on the Pixel Watch 3. I chatted with Jamie from the Wear OS product team to get more information on building for Wear OS 5 and larger display sizes. I kicked off by asking him what developers should consider when building for Wear OS 5.
So Pixel Watch 3 brings in a stable release of Wear OS 5. It's based on Android 14, and so developers need to think about what that means for their apps. We have detailed documentation on the website that talks about the updated system behaviors. And if you really want to know how your app is going to behave, you should test it with the Wear OS 5 emulator.
During Made by Google, they announced larger displays on both the 41mm and the 45mm devices, the latter being 40% larger than the Pixel Watch 2. What should developers be doing so their app looks good on these larger screen sizes?
So developers need to think about how their UI scales for different screen sizes and making sure that users are getting the optimal experience. We talked about this at our Building for the Future of Wear OS technical session during this year's I/O. First, you can use Compose for Wear OS, which supports annotations to make sure that your device behaves optimally across different display sizes and font scales. Additionally, version 1.4 of the Jetpack Tiles library allows you to preview your tiles in Android Studio so you can see how they look. And from Proto Layouts version 1.2.0, we've made it easy for you to build scalable tile layouts to respond to different screen sizes. Developers can get started by going to developer.android.com/wear. You can also find a gallery with design inspiration for building the best Wear OS apps.
There couldn't be a better time to get started with the latest tools and APIs from Wear OS. Click the link below to learn more.
I'm Sydney. I'm a group product manager at AllTrails, overseeing the trail experience team. AllTrails is the world's most trusted and popular app for helping people find their way outside. I work with an amazing group of designers, engineers, and analysts to help bring this experience to life. We offer over 500,000 trails in over 200 countries. Most people know us for hiking, but we actually offer trails that are suitable for biking, running, even paddleboarding. AllTrails started as a website and expanded to the Android app, so wearables felt like that next frontier. The first iteration of this app got over 1 million downloads, and we're actually seeing that Wear OS users show 60% higher monthly retention compared to our other users, so we're really excited and motivated to continue building. To develop our Wear OS app, we actually used a host of different tools, including Jetpack Compose, Android Studio, and Horologist, and it really helps speed up our development as well as give our developers access to a wealth of documentation and community guidance. We hear a lot of feedback from users that they want to disconnect and unplug from the rest of the world. And our role in this is obviously helping to develop a hands-free experience so people can truly be present with the outdoors and the path in front of them. And so we really wanted to simplify it for our users and help them get started with just a tap. We brought to life some of the nearby trails, your favorite trails, as well as some of our flagship features like wrong turn alerts or live share. Those are all available as part of the connected experience. One piece of feedback that we got over the years is that it's really easy when you're having a good time outside to miss the buzz of your phone in your pocket or your backpack. So one thing that we wanted to do with Wear OS is provide those notifications at your wrist. So it's really nice to know that you have the peace of mind of venturing outside, especially on new or unfamiliar trails, that will always make sure that you're staying on the right course so you can enjoy your time outside. My favorite part of the app is actually a super subtle UI that we offer in the form of a progress ring that fills up as you progress along the trail. It's a really nice way of visually demonstrating your progress without having to fumble with your phone. Some of the things that we're hoping to bring to the next iteration of the Watch app include bringing the map or a compass to life on your watch. Jetpack Compose and some of the other tools that we mentioned are such an easy way to do that, so we're committed to continuing to build an even more awesome AllTrails Wear OS experience.
Earlier this month, Pixel launched its new foldable at the Made by Google event. This device, powered by AI, is the best of both worlds, combining the portability of a phone together with the increased screen real estate of a tablet. As both a developer and a foldable power user, I am super excited by this increased screen real estate to make the apps I build shine. And I wanted to know what was new in the second generation Pixel Foldable and how developers should be building for this form factor. I started by talking to George from the Pixel team to find out more details about their new device.
Pixel 9 Pro Fold is our latest foldable with Gemini built in. It has the largest display on any phone, so there's a lot there for our users and developers.
As I played around with the new Pixel 9 Pro Fold, I was able to see that large inner display in action, along with a smaller front display. I'm a big fan of foldables, but this is a fairly new form factor for some developers, so I wanted to learn more about the screen size and fold states.
Starting with the large inner display, it's an 8-inch Super Actual Flex display. And then when you fold it, it's a 6.3-inch display, just like any other phone that fits into your pocket. With the large display, you can multitask with split screen, watch big screen content, as well as place it in tabletop to take photos and to also watch movies. This gives a lot of opportunity for users to kind of engage with the phone. So developers should be thinking about this as they build out their apps.
During Made by Google, we saw how NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV enhanced their user experience on the larger inner display so that users could get more from the larger screen and engage in split screen mode. This was a great showcase of how developers can take advantage of the inner display, the outer display, and the option for tabletop mode to deliver a more immersive user experience. After the event, I caught up with Fahad, a product manager for Android, to talk through what these varying screen sizes mean for developers.
The two different screen sizes and fold states really offer an opportunity for developers to look at their current apps and really see how their app UI is adapting to these different screen sizes. With 3 different postures supported on the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, this device is another great reason for developers to make their apps truly adaptive. Adaptive apps dynamically adjust their layouts by swapping components, showing or hiding content based on the available window size, compared to simply stretching the UI elements. And this allows these apps to take full advantage of the screen size that they're on.
Building adaptive layouts seems to be the core solution for scaling across all the different screen sizes we're seeing from the Pixel 9 Pro Fold. But how do developers do that in practice?
We want to make this extremely easy for developers. Our core guidance remains the same for building adaptive apps that look great across screens. Use window-sized classes as the opinionated breakpoints for adapting your app UI. We released a new set of Compose APIs to build adaptive layouts that, under the hood, take advantage of window-sized classes for you. The Compose adaptive layout libraries provide APIs to help you make your app UI look great across window sizes, from navigation UI to pane layouts, with minimal effort. We recommend that developers get started by heading to developer.android.com, where they can find all of our guidance and sample apps, including how to use Jetpack Window Manager and the new Compose APIs for building adaptive layouts.
It's clear that building an app that is adaptive by default is the way to go when scaling across the different screen sizes from Pixel and the entire Android ecosystem. Learn more by clicking the link below.
Ready?
Yep.
Is it starting already?
My name is Aditya. I'm the lead Android developer and architect for SAP Mobile Start.
Hi, my name is Laura. I'm the lead UX designer for SAP Mobile Start. SAP Mobile Start is our native entry point for accessing all your relevant business applications and workflows. You can use it to manage your day-to-day activities, so you can be productive wherever you want.
At SAP, we leverage the Live Edit and the Layout Inspector for Jetpack Compose while optimizing our app for large screens, and also used the latest preview screen sizes annotation. The Firebase device streaming enabled our ability to adopt and test our UI across various devices. As the early adopter of the Material 3 adaptive library, we collaborated with Google to refine the API. So we were able to integrate navigation suite scaffold within 5 minutes, swiftly adopting our navigation UI logic across various window sizes. Since our app is 100% Compose-based UI, integrating the Material 3 adaptive API was like a cakewalk for us. Adopting the navigation suite scaffold significantly reduced the code base dedicated to the custom navigation UI logic by 59%, decreasing the lines of code from 379 to 156.
My role is to ensure an excellent user experience for our users so they can use our app with ease and joy. At SAP Mobile Start, we generally focus on a very high quality of our app. So what we usually had were phone screens that were just stretched to the bigger size. And of course, that's not an experience you're looking for as a user when you're handling a foldable or a tablet. As a UX designer, I get to combine problem solving, creative crafting, empathy and tech in one, which makes a perfect job for me. Android always feels very personal. They have a lot of delightful interactions and beautiful aesthetics. The adoption of the canonical layers from Google helped us to focus more on creating unique app capabilities. It is really helpful in our job to also go back to some of the established patterns that we can leverage for our own app design that actually are fitting towards this large screen optimization. One improvement that we made was the introduction of the supporting pane into our to-do detailed screen, which allows users to create comments while they can still browse through the to-do details on the other side.
So my advice to developers would be that optimizing for large screen UIs is crucial. The market for tablets, foldables, and Chromebooks is really booming. By creating adaptive UIs that work seamlessly across various devices, you can improve user experience and reach a wider audience. So don't miss out the opportunity to expand your app's reach.
Hey Android devs, what if you had 1 week to learn the ins and outs of a single Android topic? We're introducing a new series called Spotlight Weeks, where we'll shine light on a specific topic and give you everything you need to take advantage of that topic, including technical deep dive videos, new documentation and resources, and developer stories. Android 15 is our first Spotlight Week. Here are some things we'll cover. Number 1, edge to edge. Many users prefer apps to draw edge to edge. Once your app targets Android 15, edge to edge is enforced. Prepare for this change with a code lab and new blogs on implementing and testing edge to edge. Number 2, foreground services. Take advantage of foreground service improvements, including a new foreground service type for media processing operations, 6-hour timeouts, and restrictions to help preserve your user's battery life. Number 3, passkeys. Learn how to simplify sign-in with Credential Manager and passkeys, including how users can now sign in with a single tap and use their saved credentials through autofill suggestions via the Credential Manager API. There's a lot more to cover. Stay tuned for our first Spotlight Week on Android 15.
John, we're back on. We have to wrap up the show. So that's the end of this summer's episode of The Android Show. We'll be back in the fall for another episode.
And let's keep the conversation going in the comments below and on X. Share with us what you want to see in the next show. Bye for now, and catch you on the next episode of The Android Show. That's our time.
And that watch?
Made by Google, obviously.
Your bike fell.